Good morning, everybody, but hello, everybody, good evening. We are here for a public hearing. It is Wednesday, January 10th at 5 p.m. Notice is hereby given by the town board of the town of Canton that pursuant to the provisions of town law of the state of New York, a public hearing will be held at 5 p.m. on the 10th day of January 2024 at the Canton Town Hall, 60 Main Street, Canton, New York, to consider the adoption of a local law entitled Local Law Amending the Town Zoning Law and Other Land Use Laws. This proposed local zoning law would repeal and replace the existing zoning law and zoning map in chapter 70 of the Town of Canton Code and repeal local law number 3 of 2019 solar energy facilities of the Town of Canton Code. The town board determined that this local law would have no significant environmental impacts pursuant to the New York State Environmental Quality Review Act. A complete copy of the proposed law has been available for public inspection at the town clerk's office and on the website. So the process is, we're here to listen. So if you have public comment regarding this law, if you would please go to the podium, identify yourself and your address, and limit your comments to 3 minutes so that everybody will have an opportunity. And then, if there's new comments to be made, you can go up a second time after everybody has had an opportunity to speak regarding this law. So I am calling this public hearing to order. Is there any public comment?
My name is Joel Howie, and I own property at 317 State Highway 310 and 339 State Highway 310. It's the new cider house that is we just built this spring.
So could you speak up a little?
Yeah.
I'm
So one of my concerns is it was a little confusing when I was reviewing the document, because in the chart of permitted uses in an RA zone, cideries are not allowed. So that's been created a problem for me with my plans, because I do plan to have a cidery in the future. But yeah, and further in the explanation or the further down in the law, it does read that it is allowed with stipulations. So I just want to make sure that things are clear, because when I go to apply for my cidery license, the state of New York is going to review this, and if they see in the chart that it's not allowed in that zone, they may or may not approve the license. So I just want to make sure that everything is clear and precise in the law, and I'm not sure why in the chart it showed that it was not allowed, but further down in the writing it is allowed with stipulations. So that's my only concern.
Okay, thank you. Other comments?
Hi, good evening. Deb Bridges, you're representing myself and my husband Styles Bridges, address 6232, County Route 27, Lot 24A in Canton. Owners of 1734 State Highway 68 in Canton, the property of Maybridge Kennels. My comments, first of all, and I apologize for being redundant. I know we've talked about these things many times, and I do apologize for that. First, I want to thank the members of the board for attempting and stepping forward with some efforts to try to mitigate our situation with the transition of our kennel business, Maybridge Kennels, with no dogs left behind. Although it seems now it was somewhat disingenuous and fruitless, but I appreciate the effort, and trying to settle these situations is very important to us. As far as the zoning laws, I'd like to point out that still in this version of the zoning laws, there are additional requirements for kennels and animal shelters that are extraordinary when they're compared to other businesses that are identified in the zoning laws and other requirements. The requirements are vague, undefined, and are unenforceable. This would put our business and any kennel or shelter business in this town at risk, because the terminology is a nuisance. Whose definition of a nuisance? What is there a measurable, as in other areas, a measurable noise limit, decibel readers, ways of documentation, of proof? As it is, based on unsupported noise complaints filed against a business, the authorization to even exist can be at risk, because those complaints can be used to state that the business is not being operated without creating a nuisance. So my question is this: if it was another kind of business, say our business was a car garage and it had limited hours based on equipment noise, and it could only operate within certain hours during the day, would the town accept noise complaints against that very equipment during business hours? I think not. And how a kennel is being treated, which is a business, is not consistent and is at risk. And the zoning laws really open our business up to unfortunate situations. So our request is that the section for additional requirements that applies to kennels and animal shelters be reviewed and be updated to include measurable, enforceable items and provide protection against the whim of a very few neighbors. We're fortunate to have a vast area of support by the majority of our neighbors, and we appreciate that, but we feel the wording in the zoning laws does put us at risk. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Other public comment?
Margaret Meltz, 33 James Road. Comments pertaining to animal shelter. There is presently no request to operate an animal shelter in the town of Canton. With a shelter being a non-permitted land use in the current code, the next step would have been to request a land use variance. The previous applications have been withdrawn and replaced with the grandfathered land use of a kennel at the proposed location at 1734 State Highway 68. This apparently satisfied all parties involved. Since being an animal shelter is no longer an issue, it should be withdrawn from the code. On December 15th, 2025, the New York State Shelter Law, Chapter 683, governing and defining shelters, will be in effect and may supersede some of the proposed animal shelter conditions. The work has already been done. The town of Canton does not need to include in the code a land use that is no longer requested or even pertinent at this time. Should the town board decide to leave animal shelter definitions and conditions in the new town zoning code, it is important that an animal shelter require a special use permit and review. And I appreciate the opportunity to speak. On one level, I agree with Deb in terms of understanding what the code definitions said about things that are in the definition of kennel and there are different questions about the conditions and what the definitions of things are in the proposed conditions of the new code, like what is meant by outdoor pasture. And this has to do with enclosing to prevent the escape of animals. Is this intended to mean the entire perimeter of the property shall be enclosed? and clarification is needed. And there's just, I documented it, it's something that I presented to you before concerning those concerns. I also appreciate the chance to have sat together with Debbie and Stiles. And I thought after the meeting that we all felt good about that. So we present this to the board,
To the board.
to the board.
Thank you, Margaret. Other comments?
Yes, I'm not going to the podium, but I can go.
Yes, you are. Sorry, Stiles.
I'm Stiles Bridges and I'm Deborah's husband. And we're in the process of selling Maple Ridge Kennels. Now, what's happened is that in the process of trying to sell the business, we have had no less than 30 complaints for noise. And it has basically come from 2 or 3 people. We have several people in the neighborhood. And when we have our trial, they will all be coming to the trial to testify that they have no problem. What bothers me is we've been there for almost 50 years. 50 years. And because of a couple of complainers, they're able to shut down a business. I just don't understand it.
Other public comment? There was one written comment that I'm gonna enter into the record. I received this on January 4th. And it comes from Stephen Smith, Highway Superintendent. Expressing, I would like to express my concerns with a couple of things in the new code. On page 113, number 3, I'm concerned with the language about complete streets. It states that under the town complete streets code, I wasn't aware that there is a complete streets code, and I feel that this is dangerous to have it listed as such. Second concern is that the superintendent, there's language in there that the superintendent has 30 calendar days to make a recommendation to the planning board. This could be difficult during the winter months, given that the ditches could be full of snow and ice and nearly impossible to physically see the lay of the land. So that does come from Highway Superintendent Stephen Smith on January 4th. I've entered it into the record with the clerk. Any other public comment? That being said, we have listened. This will all be taken into consideration, go back for review. And I need a motion to close the public hearing. Moved by Bob, is there a second? Second by Randy, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Carried. Everybody is more than welcome to stay for our regular board meeting. They're really exciting. We have a lot on the agenda. Otherwise, thank you for coming and being part of the process.
Are you adopting the new?
No action is taken tonight. We've listened and it's going back to the committee for review and further deliberation.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. I do need to text from the department head. It's not even staying here.
I didn't recognize you when you came in. Is that? Oh, yeah.
Okay, so Heidi, did you write down that that was 5:15? We just public 5:17. Oh, you got 5:17. Okay. All right. I am calling the regular meeting to order. First item on the agenda is approval of the minutes of 12/13/23, year-end meeting 12/28, and the organizational meeting on 1/4. Is there a motion for those minutes?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Sorry.
All in favor, say aye. Aye, carried. We do need to add one item to the agenda. It would be under, new business, number 7. Purchase of a new 24-25 Western Star model 47 cab and chassis truck. I know that's a lot, but purchase of a new truck for highway. Okay. Correspondence. One correspondence, we received our chargebacks from St. Lawrence County. Now, these are, additional taxes that are on taxpayers' bills, for county, services. Election charges, real property charges, workers' comp charges, community college charges. In my analysis of the last 7 years, in 2018, taxpayers paid an additional $414,59. 7 years later, taxpayers are paying $215,240.37. So in the last 7 years, chargebacks have increased $48,826. It looks in looking at the data that the charges that have gone up are for election services. That was a substantial increase, and community college charges. So, I find the chargebacks very interesting as far as, the formulas that they use for things, especially the workers' comp. The college chargebacks, any student who wants to go to a community college can have their tuition paid back. It's the whole- So,
It's not the whole tuition. It's not the whole tuition. It's maybe $1,000 to $2,000 per year. What happened years ago when the community college system was presented statewide? Any county that chose to have a community college could have it. St. Lawrence County chose not to. If you chose not to, anybody from your county that chose to go to a community college somewhere else, St. Lawrence County was subject to offering them an incentive to go there. And so you'll notice that there's quite a few that, Governor gets quite a few because JCC is so close by. But, excuse me.
well,
That's all.
oh, excuse me, Mike. You know, from last year, taxpayers paid $23,054. This year, $51,930 is being charged. So, I'll have to look into that, Jim, because
I
Yeah,
really
I mean-
do not believe we're paying full tuition, because if that was the case, We, a lot of people
Right.
going to community college.
And if, you know, like if the town of Canton student wanted to go down to a 2-year school in New York City, they would get assistance. Chargebacks are on taxpayers' bills, that's not through our budget. So, but that is one of the correspondence that I get, and it's in the packet, so, okay. The next correspondence is, from North Country Savings Bank. These are the 2 CDs that we hold, for the library, and I just wanted to document this, that, you know, we did get, the annual, summary, and we are currently holding a 15,068.18 CD and an 18,458.48 CD. So a total of 33,526.66 is what we're holding, and at the end of each year, we send a check to the library. This year it was for the interest, $33.50. So, I think I've said it at this table before, I think these should be dissolved and given back to the library.
One of them, the Hepburn Fund,
They're both.
Hepburn.
Yeah.
That's when, what was his first name?
Amen.
A. Martin.
Yeah,
He set up a number of these throughout the county. And they're there to supply interest incomes to them. And if you want to get rid of that, we can turn that over to our attorney, Eric Justice. He's probably gonna research it and come back and tell us that it would take either an act of the state legislature or it'd have to go in front of state Supreme Court.
Yep.
In order for us to get rid of handling those 2 CDs.
I just wanna give it to the library.
You can't.
Whatever, I think we can,
Well,
but that can be another argument another day. Because if you look at what's happening with the library, they are going out, every school vote and increasing their request for tax. And here we are sitting on $33,000 that's just sitting in the bank. And I really feel that they are deserving of that money. So, you know, I've been saying this for years.
If we could get A. Martin, if we could get A. Martin to agree to.
Well, he's not alive, and I don't think any of his heirs are either.
So,
So anyways, I'm gonna keep going. I know, we've had this argument before. Jim. Okay, the next item is from, let me see. Wait, yeah. This one's from the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation. They conducted a community assistance visit way back in 2018 on floodplains, and our code office and I, we responded, but now they're following up to see where we want to be. And we still want to be part of that insurance, and so Mike and I are working on that to see, and we'll bring back a recommendation. The U.S. Environmental Protection Agency is giving a webinar on food waste on Wednesday, January 17th, from 3 to 4. It is sponsored by ANCA, if anyone is interested in that. So that's all I have for correspondence. Okay, town finance reports. Oops, yep, town finances report. So Angela's not able to be here. I did email the board. This is our final report of finances for the year. However, there's some adjustments that need to be made. In particular, we need to move some of the highway benefits, DA and DB, and then there's some other things that need to be adjusted. So I'll be bringing back some resolutions to amend this budget in a few areas. We still have yet to receive the pilot payment from the village that was due in December. So once we get that, we'll apply it to this budget. We still have yet to get the reimbursements for the assessor and the historian. We gave that to the village in December, so hoping to get that after their next meeting. And that that those revenues would be applied. So, I'm tabling this report and I'll bring it back at our February meeting. Along with the January. Okay, any questions on that? Okay. Audit committee.
Are you ready?
Yep.
Next, because I don't have it on here. I think good. Yeah. They're still laying. They're still over.
Oh, the bills? Yeah. We
They're on
have,
shoulders.
we can't table that.
Oh.
They have to.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Expenditures.
Are they upstairs?
They are.
Just go get them.
Good.
Sorry about that. I got.
Yes, my daughter. Okay.
Make the youngest guy run up.
Hmm?
Make the youngest guy run up.
He offered.
He's the only one with a key. Yeah. Good to go for our first board to get keys. Not willing to do that. You know?
Okay, shall we move forward? All right. Well, let's wait. Consider. Please. Monitor. So maybe we can do one and expect their action. So. Yeah.
It was actually, DB originally did not have any.
Yeah. I'm sorry. It's.
I have it. I found it.
Go ahead.
Ready, honey? Sorry about that.
Oh, okay.
So general fund, 22,131.35. Town outside, $2,354.54. DA, 6126.35. DB, and this was the one with the new addition of $3,100 even. Special fire, 45.88.83. And special lighting, 301.41, and there's no T precedent. So that's a total of 38,602.48.
I need a motion to approve the expenditures.
So
No. Is there a second? I'll second it. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Do you wanna go tell them?
I'll let go. Count for all of them. So I'm doing up.
Oh, see if Jim's numbers concur. There you go. You like concur? We've already.
Oh, is that, so like you wrote them down? Okay. All right, see if Heidi's got the same number. Thanks, Jim.
Yeah.
Did you like my door?
Done.
Did you like my door? Thank you. Okay, department reports, Heidi?
So my financial report for December was that we took in 68,723. The town shares that were remitted were 66,673.60, and then the state got 3,167 cents, which zeroed out our, accounts. That $6, lingering tax check has been cashed, so, so back to zero for January. December 29th, it was a rough go, but we got the ATC taxes uploaded onto the program. The help of the ATC tax, company. We continue to stay in contact with the dog warden. We continue to be busy with, multiple FOIL requests. I did a rough count of how many FOIL requests our office did within 2023, and I kind of stopped counting after 50. Some of them are really large requests, which we did, working with multiple department heads and committees. The Communication and Technology Committee, so we just met the other day and I'm working on the site map plan. I was supposed to have a meeting with Revise today, but because of the power, we had rescheduled that, so that's gonna be on the 15th, so. We're gonna look over everything I've compiled together, and then the committee's gonna meet again. I'm not really sure what day you guys said, the 23rd. In December, we were really busy just closing out the 2023 year and getting ready for 2024. I'll meet with Cindy to go over the assessor boxes within the next couple of weeks, so we can start filing them away. Linda and the county historian came down in December and took a couple boxes down to the historian's office. I attended the St. Lawrence County Municipal Clerks Association quarterly dinner meeting, and usually in December we pick like somebody to give back to. In the last few years, it's been in the Mill House, and we had a gentleman come in, and it was really nice to hear that they do for the community and people. We learned a lot, actually. So that was really nice, and the clerks always show up and donate a lot back to them, so that's really nice. I just attached my upcoming meetings for 2024. I'll be out of the office, but Tasha will be in there. And at the very end of the report, I added the town clerk cash report breakdown for the whole year, so you can see what we took into the whole year, how much the town received, and then what the state received. And Angela usually touches base that this year the number is really high because we took in 5 commercial solar permits. So that's about it.
And I forgot that, you have your finance report too.
So I did that in section.
Right. Okay, when I was doing mine, so I'm taking it.
Oh,
I
that's
should have
okay.
got to you.
I was just gonna mention I would do agreements, but I just need to have a correction done on my financial report, and then I'll just, the tax department's record, that's the star check. But besides that, everything else looks good for comparison to my year-end report and my year-end report, everything's matching, so I got on $6 check,
Okay,
so.
all right, any questions of Heidi? All right, great, thank you. I'm gonna go to Lee. Lee, can you hear me? She's on Zoom.
I can. Hold on one second. So we've just gotten an extension on the New York Main Street grant. Things are moving along with that. We've completed a couple more renovation projects. We still have a couple more to go. So we were able to get an extension on that through till December of 24. The NEPA environmental review for our Northern Border Regional Commission grant for the secondary water source for the village is underway. A second draft has been completed and reviewed by them. So we will soon be going into a 30-day comment period on that, so we can progress that project along. Hopefully we can get bids out in the next month or so and have that project happen in 2024. We will be starting an environmental review, also a NEPA environmental review for the Midtown Plaza project this month. We received 3 more applications to the Canton Care Small Business Grant Program, so that's a total of 5 now. I just today finalized 2 more approvals, so we've approved 3 grants now. And I have 3 more to review and get to the committee for scoring. We do still have some money left, so I will be doing another round of applications for that program. We're still waiting to hear about the New York Forward grant. Those announcements have rolled out very slowly. Usually by now those have been all announced, so I'm not sure what the holdup is, but we're still patiently waiting and hopeful. And we're working on year-end reporting for a number of grants this month through year-end 23. And that's about it.
Lee, can you talk about the 2 town grants, please? The one for Minor Street Road and the sand salt storage grant. Where are we at?
Yeah, I didn't really have much to update on those since the last report. The work on the Minor Street project is phase 1 is pretty much complete, the site work, and we'll be hopefully moving on into the paving stage this year, depending on what the county's schedule is for paving. But we have 3 reimbursement requests that we're waiting to hear back on. One of them has been submitted since June. The other ones are November and December. Hopefully, I'm told that their budget ends in March, so their budget year ends in March, so hopefully those will be pushed through before March. It's ridiculous how long they take. But the Willow Island portion of that is also paused for the winter. A lot of the site work was completed this fall. So again, just waiting for weather and to finish that project up. And for Stiles Avenue, we had a kickoff meeting with the consultants, Barton LaJudas, and our committee, which is the infrastructure committees and for both the town and village, and the superintendent and highway superintendent, and are in the process now at just looking at the existing assets. They've asked us for some items, if we have any reports or things that were completed for the All States asphalt site, and just to know what our existing assets are, so we can start to look at how that site might be used.
And our highway committee is part of that as well, and Stephen, right? So.
Yep.
And that was a $50,000 grant, 25 or 50% match. So what happens is when we get a bill and we pay it, I asked Lee to put in the reimbursement anyway, cash flow purposes. And they spoke with the mayor, and what I'll be doing is invoicing the village right away and stuff. And then once the grant money is done, then we'll just put that, so it's just the help of the cash flow. All right, any other questions of Lee? All right, thank you, Lee.
Thank you.
Okay, is Cindy on? Cindy's right there. Cindy?
Hi. Hey.
Hi, Cindy.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hi, good evening. Okay, let's see. In addition to my report, the state has increased the income for the enhanced seniors from 93,200 to 98,700. So it's an increase of $5,500. They've also been mailing out exemption forms to those basic recipients who are turning 65 this year, and they're receiving the application and the IBP application as well. So I've had about 2 people come in this week to apply. As far as the rest of my report, I think I put in about the solar model, and that's going back and forth between the Assessors Association and the state as to how to come up with a value for the solar project. And I think the biggest concern is that the discount rate that's applied there is kind of high, and it's bringing in things lower. So they're going back and forth with this. So I'll know more later in the month what they've decided to do on that end. And like I said, Heidi said, I'll be going down to her office and going through archiving records and so forth, and documenting what's in the boxes, and if there's something that needs to be shredded, then that will happen, based on, our time frame. That's about it. Does anybody have any questions for me?
Okay, thank you, Cindy, appreciate it.
Okay.
Megan, would you like to go?
Hello, everyone. I know I haven't been here in a while. It's been a crazy
Good
week
to
so
see
far. Yeah, I'm still here. So I don't have much to update. I do have a mistake that I did find on my Excel file there for revenue for November Canton Central School revenue. It's $3,059, not $7,903. That was just me putting in the wrong code on my Excel file. So that's that. And then, we did receive a grant from the St. Lawrence County Youth Bureau, for about $4,500. That is gonna go towards upgrades at the ball field at Petting River. So it's been every little bit helps. Other than that, we're busy. Full swing of things, over halfway through the ice season. We can't wait for spring.
Any
questions?
Yeah, when is the lawn tractor expected to be?
Spring. This spring. That's,
So just let us know as soon as that. Yeah. Great.
it'll be running as soon as we get it.
When's your ice season at, what date?
It's probably gonna be St. Patrick's Day weekend. So the figure skating ice show was that weekend. So after that, ice dwindles very quickly.
You mind, you're applying for Stewart's money?
Yes, I did apply for that.
That's
So,
already applied.
yep. This is the third year that I've done that, and first year we got $1,000, last year we got 750. So we'll see what we get this year. So, and then I'll rec committee for meeting at the end of the month.
Great. Any other questions? All right, thanks, Megan, appreciate it. Stephen, would you like to go next?
So with the recent temperature swings, the crew's been very busy patching potholes and trying to maintain the gravel roads, but gravel roads are a bit of a challenge this year with freeze, thaw, large amounts of rain, so that's been a struggle for us this year. We did purchase some new lighting for the building through an energy efficiency program. It's not really a grant, but it's just a program to help with energy efficiency as it's worded. So the lights ended up, they were $1 each, what we had to pay for them. So the total bill of what I ordered was over $70,000 and our share of it was $345,000. So we have enough lights to be able to change them all out in all of the buildings. Plus we have a very good stock of outdoor lights to be able to change out as well. They seem to be very bright.
Oh, you think?
We were there for highway committee today and put one on and we're gonna be able to light up that whole side of town, I think.
Well, yeah.
It's certainly right. Thought it was the dang sun for a minute.
They seem to be working very well, so.
Yeah.
As we have time, on days that we can't do anything outside, we've been changing them out, working at it, so it's going well. We have been doing some, we started trimming some brush back as time allowed, but I mean, after last night, that kind of changed that. We had to circle back and rethink our train of thought there. Would like to thank the board for approving the dash cameras last year. We had what I would call a fairly serious accusation made against one of our plow drivers last week. The person stated that they thought our plow driver situation was there was a delivery truck parked in the lane of traffic. They stated that our plow truck driver went by them at a high rate of speed at a very close proximity. So was able to pull the footage right up, and our plow truck went by it at 12 miles an hour. So I don't feel that that was excessive speed, but it kind of de-escalated the situation right there. It's very hard to argue when it's right there in black and white or color video, or way to look at it, and they were not crowding the vehicle, so. It's about the first time that we really had a situation like that where they come in extremely easy for us. And that was worth every bit of it, in my opinion, right there. I didn't even approach the driver on the situation. In my opinion, he did everything he should have done and did it right, so I didn't see any need to bring it up and talk about it. As always, I'd like to thank the highway crew. And yesterday, that was a long day for everyone. They put in their normal 8-hour day. We ran late last night with the ice. Couple of the guys got to go home for an hour. We had to bring them back in for some trees down, so. I mean, those guys did over 10 hours overtime plus their regular 8-hour shift. And right back at it again today, so they were all in good spirits at the end of the day. Just happened that the radio was playing in the shop and Leonard Skinner's song came on, Tuesday's Gone with the Wind. And I heard one of them make the comment, we haven't even got our chainsaws cooled off yet, this has to come on the radio, so. I mean, they took it in stride, but I'd like to thank them as well. Any questions? All right, thank you.
Thank you for, I'm sure you're ready to sleep tonight as well.
It's been a long day.
Yeah.
Don't worry, we have a look back for
All right, any other questions? All right, Mike. Oh, yeah.
Good evening, everyone. As Heidi mentioned, we received another permit for the commercial ground mounted solar project, 310. That's the same company as the one on Judson Street Road. The other permit is the final permit for the new restaurant out on Route 11 West. They started exterior framing on the building end of the month. Weather's kind of hampering them now, but they did have the foundation completed and starting the framing. Couple other items, the house on the corner of Jingleville Road and Minor Street Road was completed over the month of December, so those individuals had a nice Christmas in their new home. And finally, after 2 or 3 months, the new single-family home on Pollock Road is finally taking shape. It's been just a foundation, but now it's framed up, it's got a roof on it. Seemed good to stop and see something going on there. The other thing, received another revision of the Rich Road project. They had revisions of Exhibit 19 and clarification of some data on Exhibit 15. So, everybody got the email, that finalized their application to the ORS. So now it's a 60-day waiting period for public comment, village comment, town comment, county comment. And they'll take notes like we've done with board meetings for the revisions of our zone, so. Other than that, that's it. Any
other
questions?
All right, thanks for your work, Mike, appreciate it. All right, Linda's, not able to be here. I don't think I missed anybody, I don't think so. All right, so I need a motion to accept department reports. John, is there a second? Second, Bob, all in favor, say aye. Aye, carry. Committee reports.
I met this morning, the one major item that we discussed is on the agenda. That's the purchase of the new plow truck.
Okay,
He met yesterday. No. Yes. Tuesday. That's it.
oh, yeah. Because, you know.
I'm fairly sure. And essentially, we just determined attendant for EBSC to be not really about that meeting. How they'll be working. And we looked at some advertising for right.
Advertising to know how many.
Yeah, advertising in the chamber. Yeah, actually, it's pretty good. Really good. Yeah, we can send that out.
That's a good thing.
This is. And we usually throw my thought. This, yeah, we did quality work. We tweaked it even with the colorblind guy.
And when is that usually at?
Do we know when that's going on?
Honestly, May.
Okay.
Right.
Good. Yeah. And yes, it's just copy.
Yeah.
It's your story. You stick to it. Building committee, we met yesterday. Excuse me. And we're still working on the possibility of a new municipal building. We've been working in department heads, we brought in, the town and village clerks were with us yesterday, and so were the court clerks. We're in the process of finding out what their storage needs are gonna be for records keeping services. Because the court has applied for a JCAP grant, we're hoping to get it, and if they do, that will help significantly with records keeping, because they're gonna digitalize things, and we won't need as much storage space for paper copies of them. We also talked to them, what if they don't get the grant, and so we have a pretty good idea what the size needs to be for storage. I won't take the grant. You won't with the whole folks.
Eric Bagnos, from Clarkson University of Delicious. Seems like months ago it was, so, their engineering class has been, doing mock buildings for us as a study. And, so they presented it to the building committee. We've been over there a couple times. There is a capstone project that's coming up. So it's all about the students and learning about the process. You know, 4 teams and a lot of good ideas. They're helping us as far as thinking a little bit outside the box, and we're helping them as far as creating. So we'll talk more about it at our joint meeting, scheduled for the end of the month. So
How much is that JCAP, right? So 30.
it's up to 30,000, but I think they submitted about 26,000,
No, they submitted 29.
29,000.
Yeah,
So, but it was.
but it's not for all for records keeping.
Oh, yeah.
They had some other needs that they put in there.
Okay, any other committee reports. All right. There is no old business, new business. No? Association of Towns Annual Meeting Resolution, that was in our packet. There are 11 resolutions, and, going on to the next item. You know, I don't know if you've had time to, I have not had time to, read them, and we can bring it certainly back at the February meeting, to take a vote on and have discussion on those, okay? So,
Item 6 to me seems a little confusing, because reading that, it says that we're opposing changing town elections from odd to even years. So that makes it sound to me that we only have town elections in odd years, and that we're changing them to even years. But really what goes on is there's elections sometimes in odd years and sometimes in even years. Really, so. You should read, you know, changing town elections to even years only. I think makes more sense to me. But along with that, and I don't know, that probably isn't going to have an impact. But, you know, as you stated earlier in the meeting, we were talking about chargebacks. You said something that has gone up significantly in the past 7 years is elections, and town of Canton responsible for $92,000 last year, just the election expense. I don't know if this is gonna affect it or would affect our charges. Okay. All of that.
so is everybody in agreement that we can put this on next month's meeting?
Yeah.
And then we'll have further discussion. All right,
I
great.
think I have a question, your number 6, you think they're referring to the law that was just passed?
They are, yeah,
They are.
they are referring to it. If you look at,
Yeah, because that would affect you,
Affect them,
and it would affect Stephen,
everybody.
everybody, justice, yeah, because of anybody that's in, anybody that's in an odd year, and I think
My understanding is that's what it
there might be one justice in the year.
so if you read the background and the first whereas, yes, so what happens
Make sure
with
no,
these?
you want me.
I can't hear you. Heidi.
I just want to know because you want me to possibly delegate.
Yeah, so we all need to read these again and then have discussion at our next meeting, which is prior to the actual annual conference. So, you know, that did jump out at me, but I want to read these all again. And then, so why don't we go to the next item? I'm not certain I'll be going this year to the annual conference. So I did ask Heidi if she would be the delegate. And so what the delegate is responsible for is going and voting on these on behalf of the town. So we will vote on them individually, and then when Heidi goes to the meeting at the end of the conference to vote on our behalf as the delegate. So I'm still up in the air whether I'm going or not. So I asked her to take on that duty. So with that being said, I am making a motion that Heidi Smith, town clerk, be the annual meeting for the Associations of Towns delegate. I'm making that motion. Is there a second? Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. There. Congratulations, Heidi. It is a really interesting process because, you know, the people, so say we wanted to put in a resolution, to be considered, it's like a 2-year process. That goes to the Association of Towns Executive Committee and what?
Wait to do that next year, Mary, we go.
Oh, yeah, Okay, the next item on the agenda is the St. Lawrence County Hold Harmless Resolution for 2024. Are you listening over there? Two items came, in December from, the Department of Highways. So we do this every year. We pass this resolution that we hold the county harmless for providing service for 2024. So you all have a copy of the resolution. I need a motion to pass this.
So
Is there a second? Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye, carry. So Heidi will need to, talk about that, give that to the county. We have to send a proof of insurance with it as well. But the second item that came with this is an agreement to spend town highway funds. It's an interesting form, actually, and, I spoke to Stephen about it, I believe I sent it to you. And basically, I don't know that we've done this every year. I don't think we have since I've been here, but list the roads and the expenditures, and then we have to pass the resolution. But it's very interesting. So, we'll look at that. When the time comes, Stephen will be bringing the requests to. I don't necessarily agree with it, but we'll look at it when it comes to the projects and whatnot, but. I guess I have a question for Eric on that. Does the county have any authority about what we spend our money on as far as roads? Do you want to read off that?
What you're doing, direct. If we're contracted with them to do something, we're having authorization, there's authorization. Without seeing the farm, you know.
Okay, so we'll send this to Eric as well. So, okay. Did I already take a vote? On the first part?
Yeah.
Yes, okay, thank you. All right, the next item is Canton Central Tax Collection Agreement Addendum. During budget deliberations, our contract with, Canton Central expired as far as taking the school taxes. The board agreed to put it in the budget for one more year, so we need to pass this resolution. It would be for the period of 7/1/24 to 11/30/24 in the amount of $6,500. I have met with the superintendent of schools, Susan Todd, on this, and so I need a motion to pass this resolution for a one-year extension to the cooperative agreement between the town of Canton and Canton Central. Is there a second? Alright. Moved by Bob, second by Randy, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, carried. Okay, the next item is to request additional solar intervenor funds. I see that Bill is on. Hi, Bill. We have received intervenor funds for the EDF solar project. The total amount was 240,000, but we were approved for a total of 180,000, 90 for the village, 90 for the town. Our 90 is earmarked for Barton and LaJudas, Eric, and then Bill. $90,000 is a lot of money. We've already put in 2 requests for the intervenor funds. However, it's my opinion that we need to go for the other $90,000, request that funding, but I'm, asking Eric and Bill to maybe comment on that, we had a discussion. Because there is a specific process that has to happen, regarding this. So, Bill, would you like to comment on this?
Yes, thank you. In the beginning of this process, I had a conversation with the chief ALJ at ORES about this process. And he expressed to me that there is some flexibility in how those funds are allocated as between the village and the town. And I believe that there is additional funding still available that hasn't been allocated. Our next milestone, if you will, once there is a complete application published by ORES, it's called a draft permit. We then have a period of time, about 60 days, in which to draft our statement of municipal compliance. to determine whether or not what they had proposed to permit would be allowed under our existing statutes. So that's a fair amount of work to be done. And that would be required from the town, but not the village. The village is currently working on studying issues associated with responding to battery storage fires and the hazards associated with those. And I anticipate that there'd be a significant amount of work in that area. There was recently announced that a study, preliminary results from a study by New York State on this issue will be coming out. And I believe it would be in our best interest to fashion our response around what the state has determined and announced. So that's a little bit up in the air, but that will be a significant amount of work. And then obviously our program here is to try to build the best possible record for ORES to make its decision. And there may be opportunities along the way to address some discrete issues through a process they call an adjudicatory hearing, which is a chance for the town or the village to present issues that are set forth in the draft permit and to have the ALJs make decisions based upon that process. So I can foresee a significant amount of time and effort on the part of council to try to address some of these things. So from the standpoint of seeking funds, I certainly think there's a need out in the future. How long that process will go on and how much work is actually going to be involved, it's difficult to say. But I certainly would support a request for additional funds either now or in the future as the process plays out. The ALJ, Chief ALJ, did tell me that they were very fluid with the funds in the sense that if the town took the laboring oar on a particular issue and put a lot of time into it and expense into it, they would reallocate funds. So that speaks to flexibility on part of the agency. So I would support a request for additional funding. And I think that there's a very good chance that before this is done, that there will be some additional funds coming in. So from my standpoint, I think it's a good idea and I support it.
I agree with Bill. That money's there for the this process sets that to be decided. The benefit of municipality.
So the structure for payment, I certainly don't appreciate. We get the bills from the three vendors. We were instructed, do not pay those bills. We have to submit quarterly reports. We were told we would get reimbursement within 2 weeks. We haven't seen anything since October. So we have vendors' bills that have not been paid yet, and it's my hope. And I did follow up twice, and there was no response. So, I've spoken to the vendors, and that concerns me. The work's been done, and there should be a timely thing. So once the reimbursement, I would love for intervener funds just to come, that 90,000 just to come so that we can do it, but it's a reimbursement, no pay type of structure. So once we get the reimbursement for those quarterly reports, we will deposit that and then it will go through our books to pay the vendors. It's kind of cumbersome, but that's what we've been instructed to do. So I'm opening it up to the board for discussion or questions of how you feel about us request or asking the bill to request additional funding.
So there's an additional 60, right?
It's an additional 60.
It's an additional 60,000. Now, Bill, when you talk about reallocation, you're not talking about reallocating the 90s. You're only talking about the 60, am I right?
Where do you get the 60?
Well, the reallocation, the notion there was that if the village, whose scope of participation is significantly less complex than the towns, they would move funds between the two agencies. That they said they're very flexible about. As far as the additional funds go, I believe those are there and available to the parties that are involved in the matter to be able to request those funds as needed. So I think putting a request on record that based on the issues that we have in front of us and the work that's necessary, the team that we have in place, that those funds are necessary. One of the things that will come out of the battery storage discussions that we're having is whether or not we should engage our engineers to look at some of the issues associated with things like water supply, adequacy of storage facilities, if they decide to put that into the permit. EDF has proposed to put a 20,000 gallon storage vessel for fire water. There's environmental mitigation that we're concerned about. And a lot of those issues, I think, are going to have to be tailored to New York State's determinations about the risks. And I would say, for the record, we as a community have a much different view of the risks associated with battery storage than what is apparent in the reporting on the state's position. So there may be some back and forth and some work necessary to advocate our position, and that would require the engineers to engage. And those bills, I think, would be fairly significant in the scheme of things. So financial planning, I think, is important and well-timed.
Bill, am I correct in assuming also this study that was done by the state of New York, the study was not done with St. Lawrence County in mind? The study was done just as a generic study, just to see what would happen without really including any of the players?
There's certainly been no input from our communities. My understanding is that it was triggered by the Chameau fire, which we're all aware of. These are state agencies, expert state agencies that have been assembled to analyze the risk. The governor has already announced in public that they're safe, but we don't know what the study says, and we don't know what the details are behind it. That is the kind of work that I would like to have our expert technical folks looking at, industrial hygienists, folks that understand exposure issues, plus our fire departments, our first responders, and what kinds of preparations, physical preparations like availability of water. I mean, all of those issues are wrapped up in the battery storage question. And obviously, we have to understand the state's position before we can advocate. And we may turn to our technical advisors in order to have some help with what kinds of solutions or additional issues should be addressed from a technical standpoint. So those kinds of studies, if they are proposed and agreed by ORES, there'll be a significant amount of time and expense associated with those studies. So I foresee some significant work in the future as we try to process these issues and to try to respond to ORES. So again, I support the notion that we should be seeking additional funding. And, I've been doing my best to try to produce the documents, the quarterly reports, et cetera, which we now have submitted for the second and third quarter. And we'll continue now that we have that process, some familiarity with that process. I think it will go a little more smoothly to try to help shake loose some of the funds that ORES has promised.
The mayor and I have had conversations about the money and the payments and whatnot, and I don't know legally if the village does not utilize their total funds, if we can maybe have our bills under their umbrella. I don't know if we can do that, but
it would have to go through ORES. That's what I'm saying, basically, is,
Never mind that idea. How would they know? No, sorry. Okay, yeah, all right, any further questions or comments regarding this? All right, I'm gonna call for an official motion to, have, Bill put in a request for additional funding, solar energy funds. Who did,
You put a motion.
I mean, well, I'll make the motion, sure.
I'll second.
Okay, any further discussion or comments? All in favor, say aye. Aye,
I,
carried. Okay, Town of Russell Highway Agreement. Thanks, Bill, appreciate it. Eric, thank you. Okay, the Town of Russell Highway Agreement, this is an annual agreement that we, signed with the Town of Russell in regards to the Northwoods Road plowing. It's an MOU. They plow so much of that road for us and we, pay them $4,500 annual. So we need to, approve this, MOU so I can get it to the Town of Russell, and then after the work's performed, we pay them the $4,500. And, Stephen, is that just half of the road and then we do the other half? Can you explain that again?
There's the first section of it is Town of Russell. Then it's a piece of it is Canton, and then it turns back to Russell. It's without timing it right off, I'm going to say it's a solid 20-minute drive from the last of where we would plow to get to our section, so one way.
might want to explain that it used to be a through road that went over. Now it's not a through road. So in order for the town of Canton to get to it and plow it, we gotta go all the way
Basically,
up
have to go to
around,
Russell
back
and
in.
back.
And so then we'd be going in on town of Russell to plow a short section of town of Canton.
They do all the summer maintenance as well like that. We don't touch it.
This is a good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So is there a motion to approve this MOU with the Town of Russell in regards to the Northwoods Road for $4,500?
Make a motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion or questions? All in favor, say aye. Carried. Oh, aye. Carried. Okay, the other item is purchase of the highway truck. And this is a Western Star model 47X cab
Cabin chassis.
truck for the purchase amount of $157,500. Turn this over to the committee. Any further?
Nope, we discussed it this morning. We're in favor of it. So the truck. Well, I think Steven said it could be delivered maybe
September.
sometime in that time frame. And so
We already have 4 of them, so we've had excellent luck with them.
we purchased the box that goes on it, so when the cabin chassis shows up, they will build it basically from cabin chassis to plow truck. In-house, which saved them.
Talking with other highway superintendents, it's over 100,000 right now to take one, like to say Viking or somewhere, have it outfitted. And I would say that will be probably maximum of 50,000 in componentry to do it. Or hydraulics, the dump box that's already purchased. All the plow equipment, everything like that. And the upside to it that we found through the years. When we build them in-house, we know where each component came from, where we can go to get parts for it. And we know how we put it together and where all that stuff is on the actual truck. So during a storm, you're not playing hide and seek trying to find a hydraulic valve somewhere in it. You know where the issue is, you can go to it and fix it. And we use the same stuff on every truck, so. We hate to see 2 go down at the same time, but it's happened before, and we can rob parts from one to get the other one back going that way.
Okay, so I need a motion to approve this purchase.
So,
Is there a second?
second.
Any further discussion? Comments, questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Carry. Okay, can you hand that down, please? All right, the next item on the agenda is public comment. Is there any public comment at this time?
Hi, everybody. Leslie Clark, Leader in Canton. Like many people, I spent the month, like many people, I spent the month of December ill. And I just want to share that I'm so excited to be here because this is my big event. And this is like my first time out. So
I'm
my
feeling better.
New Year's event here. So it's nice to be here and see people. I have just a couple comments, in kind of the talk tonight, but just want to remind us, that I have shared with the board in the past that it has been difficult to understand, and I'm referring to the concerns about Deb and Stiles. It's difficult to understand how some neighbors, are not bothered by the barking of the dogs, and others really are very, bothered by the barking. And, so in the summer, they try to bring science into this, and share that with the boards. My neighbors and my family requested an assessment by a physics professor to try to help explain this phenomenon, using science. And he did come and look, he observed, he has a lot of knowledge. He determined that it is the physics of how the sound travels and the actual geography of our rural neighborhood that allows for that kind of situation where some people literally are in sound sound shadow, so they don't hear it, and others are in geographic areas that are higher up and where they not only get the noise, but it is actually louder because it is of how the sound travels. Dr. Watson, the physics professor, did suggest in his written comments that I shared that an acoustic engineer could be a resource to the business to assist with managing the noise of barking dogs. Everyone here has been talking about, well, we need to get, the technical folks in to help us with this, or we need to get, these professionals in to show us how to do that, or, work in that way. And I think, I just shared that. I also want to thank Randy and the Bridges and others for showing up to a meeting that we had. I think it was well worth the time just to sit with each other and share concerns that we had. And I know that I continue to share that the concern that my family has is the noise that I can't really stop. I can't do anything to fix. But maybe the science can help us as we try to get through this. So thank you. Happy New Year, everybody. Glad to be out.
Thank you, Leslie. Further public comment?
My big event.
On Thursday, December 28th, on the scanner, there was notice that the Canton Rescue Squad was at 1734 State Highway 68 because a female had been mauled by a dog. My concern about that report is that it's the second dog bite at that facility. And the first dog bite was a spectrum worker who could not identify the dog. So all 10 dogs that were roaming around in the house with him at the time had to be quarantined by public health. When we presented our petition with the land use concerns and the things that we would have liked the planning board to have addressed. One of the things that came up was the issue of dangerous dogs and the notification of emergency personnel going to facilities and being made aware that there were dangerous dogs on the premises, and that was a concern, and several county planning board members were also concerned about the dogs on the premises. So, if the person that was involved doesn't want to, pursue the bite, that person may have signed a waiver of liability and doesn't feel comfortable doing that or can't. The state law, according to Egg and Marcus, allows for a police officer or the dog control officer to bring that forth as a concern. And the judge, to a judge, and the judge determines whether that dog was justified in biting. And there are reasons in the law that justify a dog biting. However, it does suggest that the dog be evaluated by an expert dog handler. So I don't know the particulars of the dog bite. I don't know how serious it was. But there is concern. It's close, it's our neighborhood, and they have had dogs that have been loose from the property. And also for the protection of emergency personnel, it might be something to consider. And I would like to see it considered if the particulars of the case warrant that consideration. In the report, it said that the investigation of the incident is on. And looking over what happened last year and looking over the history with no dogs left behind and things that happened with the planning board and meetings with the town board, I don't find any references to anything happening, Mike, in your reports specific to that or to any applications or anything being sent forward to the county. There's only 1 month where there was an innuendo of something happening there, but there's nothing specific to that. So maybe in the future that can be documented if in case there are specifics that it's important to us to know that can be shared. I know things that became lawyer privilege, I know can't be shared, but I appreciate that. Once again, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Margaret. Any other public comment? Okay, with that being said, I am making a motion to go into executive session for purposes of litigation and employment history of a particular person. Is there a second? All in favor, say aye. Aye. So the board will move upstairs into the board room for executive session. Thank you, everybody.
Hey, good night.
Good night.